Hey, Shalom Markin, this is Karma Kapashu and Jim. It's only giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Chachvadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, preaching the truth and all sincerity. Back again with another video. We're in exciting times right now. We know Israel is fulfilling prophecy, and when I mean Israel, I mean these Edomites in the land of Israel that run and control Israel. Right, they're fulfilling prophecy in bringing the world closer to World War III, man. All right, they're fulfilling prophecy right now. On the left-hand side, right? Because these people are not the children of God. These people are not the righteous, right? And their role in all of this is to bring around, World War III and bring destruction upon this world, man. To receive the Most High's judgment against them. All right, so we're living in exciting times right now. Israel have been attacking Iran, and Iran be retaliating, right? And so this is going to cause great attention in the world, right? Because there's more than just these two nations that are involved, so to speak, right? Because everyone's got allies, right? Everyone's got invested interests that they want to protect. So albeit Israel right now are attacking Iran, it's not just them they're attacking. Okay, we know Russia is a big ally to Iran, right? Russia has invested interest in Iran, all right, and so this, this will continue for a bit, for a piece, okay, until it goes too far, and these other players have to step in, i.e., Russia, i.e., America, right? America, I know, have been sending shit, equipment and stuff and whatever, aircrafts or whatever, right? Carriers and whatever to Israel, or in the region, right, to kind of make sure things don't go that don't blow out of proportion, right? But regardless, this is, like I said, this is all prophecy playing out. So these things are gonna escalate. It's gonna blow out of proportion, and it's gonna bring about World War III, man. And these Edomites in the land of Israel today, they're playing that role in prophecy. All right. So you see, the stories right now. Israel and Iran, they're sending rockets back and forth, missiles or whatever, and the death toll is going up. Because a Netanyahu and them, man, doing too much. As we said, man, this guy hasn't stopped being on the offensive since what was it, October, whatever the date was, 10th or whatever it was, October 7th or whatever the date was, man. He hasn't stopped, right? He hasn't stopped, terrorizing and bombing the shit out of people and displacing people. And he's gone from one target to the next. It started in Gaza, then really to Lebanon. Was it Lebanon or Syria? And now Iran. Right, this guy hasn't stopped. Right, these men are about that sword, right? Because that's their blessing. These Edomites have the blessing of the sword, right? They are that red horse that taketh peace from the earth. Because the earth is not peaceful because of them. The earth is not peaceful because of them. All right. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red. Okay, this red horse represents these Edomites, right? Edom means red, right? And so this is symbolic of him, right? The man that was blessed with the sword, okay, by his father Isaac, right? That's what he was blessed with. He was blessed with the sword, right? Esau, the red man, right? He was blessed with the sword, right? So this is him. And they went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him, right? Because he's in rulership right now. This is why these men can get away with all this madness. Trump and Netanyahu, what they do right now, they can get away with because they have the power, and no one can stand up to them. None of these nations there would do anything, right? The reason why Iran, to be fair, been looking kind of weak because Israel been blowing up their pages, killing generals and all kinds of things for a little bit still. And Iran ain't really been able to do nothing, right? Because it's not time yet. For one, Russia is like you need to chill for a minute, right? So they're wary because they know once you go into that fight, okay, you're not just taking on Israel, you're taking on America, you're taking on NATO. It's a big ask, man, and everybody needs to be ready. Like your allies all need to be ready to fight that fight because you ain't winning that fight. Iran ain't winning that fight, right? So they're being getting spanked right now, on paper, in public anyway. Publicly they're looking like they're getting spanked, right? Israel just doing whatever they want to do, and no one's stopping these dudes. No one is stopping Israel, right? Because America is behind them. And that is the only reason, man. And now all these NATO allies, even though some of them were condemning what Israel had been doing in Gaza and all that kind of stuff, right? And now having to back Israel, even though Israel just preemptively struck Iran and Iran wasn't doing nothing. But now, UK and France and all these guys, we're saying, we going back Israel. So everyone's choosing their sides, but we knew this anyway. We know what the sides are, right? We know regardless of the rhetoric and Israel should stop there, this and that, and they weren't happy with Israel. That's not going to matter at the end of the day because they're still allied together, and so when it comes down to it, they're going to back them, right? Because they have to, right? So they're going to do all that, man. But Iran, they've yet to really do some real damage to them yet, because they ultimately need Russia and China to be with them to fight these menaces, But back here it says the power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, right? Because these men are always at war, always destroying, right? They got whole industries dedicated to war, mega companies dedicated to war, right? And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, right? And that great sword that he has is that nuclear weapon that was given to him, right? That he hangs over the nations. Okay. So this peace or lack of is because of you, man, because you are out there throwing your weight around. All right, so these devils are playing their part in the prophecy right now, and it's just a matter of time before things escalate, right? Because these men were designed or were created, or these situations were created to bring around the third woe. All right, Revelation chapter 11 verse 14: the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay, and we're right on the edge of it now. All right, because this is a direct attack against Iran. This is not a proxy fight, right? They've directly attacked them and vice versa, right? So it's only a matter of time, that these other major players step into the fight. Okay. As Jeremiah 49 verse 20 says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Edom, right? These devils, right? These so-called white people, right? These Amalekites in the land of Israel, right? This is the counsel the Lord has taken against them. So and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them, right? And it's this little bastard group of Edomites that's going on, right? That, where is he, right? This Netanyahu, right? These little group of devils, right? That's causing the whole world to bring them to war, right? Because you also put on the violins and shit. Oh, you people don't, we went through persecution at the hands of the Nazis, and you don't want it to happen again, and you should all back us because why would you let it happen again? You know, we have a right to defend ourselves. We have a right to exist. And so, I mean, you go blow up everybody that disagrees with you, right? Even though you stole the land. and what's it? Displaced everybody. These people are angry because you did that, and you don't think that they have any reason to be angry with you. You know, you're out there persecuting others because you got all the bombs in the air. You know, all the air superiority because you're talking about air superiority. Yeah, because you're the prince and power of the air. Because you're Esau, right? You know, you're acting like you're the victim, but you're the bully. You know, crying fucking crocodile tears and shit. You know, and you know, trying to convince the world that you're in the right when you're wrong. And although, you know, politically, you know, these nations have to back you, you know, your allies and stuff like that, the world disagrees, man. The world disagrees with what you're doing. The world hates you, right? The world hates these Edomites, hates these Americans and the stances they take, you know, the European councils, they hate them, man, because they're fucking up everybody. They're fucking up their own country and they're fucking up everybody else's, man. They're just fucking up the whole world. And so the people are getting sick and tired of this, man. They're starting to hate you Edomites. You know? But yeah, it says surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, right? So everything is wagering or is based around what these devils are doing, right? Because the Middle East is going to be a very a big focal point in that world war, right? The cause, the catalyst, so to speak, is because of these devils and their persistence, you know, for their wickedness, you know. This is Second Ezra chapter 15, right? So not only these small hats, they play a vital role in that, right? The least of the flock, right? But obviously these Iranians, they're part of this prophecy too, and this is why they're being attacked and why they're gonna come back with wrath, right? So let me read this from Second Ezra chapter 15. I'm gonna read from verse 28, right? It says, "Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots," okay, the armies, right? "And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble." Right, so there's gonna come a point in time where Iran isn't gonna hold back, because right now they're holding back because they're being cautious because they know, like I said, when you Israel is one thing, right? And yeah, they got, you know, technologies and, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? Certain amount of technology, right? They're somewhat formidable on their own, but they're a small nation, right? Wouldn't be easy to destroy. Let's be real, right? But they have the backing of America and NATO, because America's head of NATO, right? That is a problem Iran can't simply tackle by themselves, all right? But as soon as they, you know, as soon as certain lines get crossed, that's what they got to deal with, right? And they need their allies, Russia, China, and you know, certain mans to be there ready to help them to fight that war, right? So, you know, right now, you know, they're getting spanked a little bit, you know, but they're gonna turn up. They're gonna turn up, man, right? And it says, also the Comanians, okay, which are the Iranians or the Persians in prophecies, right, in the scriptures, right, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, right, because they're vexed. Like I said, they're getting hurt right now, and so they're vexed, man. You know, they're doing a lot more talking than they are, you know, actual being effective with their retaliations. You know, I mean, fierce words, but you know, them are, you know what I mean, not really doing too much, right? I mean, casualties gone on both sides, man. But if you're looking for casualty numbers, Israel's way up, you know, in comparison, right? And you know these Iranians want to get their get back, so they're gonna come out. They're gonna turn up at some point, right? says, as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join in battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, right? So they're gonna get the upper hand, right? These Israelis, man, they're gonna get hurt, right? Remembering their nature, right? And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together into great power to persecute them. All right. So these Israelis, they will turn up, man. They're gonna turn up eventually. All right. Ezekiel 38 verse 1 says, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, the son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, right? And say, thus says Lord God Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, right? So Russia, which is what Gog in the land of Magog is, right? They're going to come with a company, i.e. other nations, right? And part of this company, the first on this list is Persia, okay, which are the Iranians. All right. And so they're going to join forces. And we know that you know, there's already ties there, you know, militarily and you know, economically, you know, and technologically, you know, they've been doing trading deals and that kind of stuff and pacts and whatever, right? So it's just timing. Everything's just down to time. You know, when the Spirit of the Most High, you know, comes upon these nations to rise up and really take it to Israel and America and their allies, man. Right? Because everything's in the Most High's time. Okay? So yeah, it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north course, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Right? So the strength behind Iran is really going to be Russia and guys like, you know, Russia and China, because they got the military, they got the power, you know, that can even the playing field. Iran, you know, by themselves is not going to take down or fight against America and NATO. They're not going to be able to do that. That's why it's going to take another alliance to be able to fight against them. And this is why Russia's been making all these different moves, making these different pacts and you know, the BRICS nations and stuff like that, right? They're gathering allies. They're gathering allies, man, to combat the West, right? Because they are formidable. NATO is formidable. You know, even though that is mostly America that, you know, that makes them formidable, it is still a formidable army that otherwise wouldn't be able to be dealt with. All right, so they're gathering allies, and Iran, you know, is part of that alliance, right? And so you know how pacts go. You know, in NATO they say if one nation gets attacked, then we've all been attacked, and so they all band together to fight off, you know, the threat, right? Well, in due time, you're going to see these nations come together against Israel, against America, against Europe, right? Which, you know, some of that's already kind of started, but, you know, with the whole Ukraine thing as well. But you're going to see them, you know, assemble. Avengers assemble, right? You're going to see them assemble, right? And take it to them, right? But this is not going to work in the favor of Israel or America or Europe, you know. It's not going to work in their favor. They're ultimately going to, well, they're all ultimately going to be destroyed, but, you know, they're not going to win this war, right? And it's the Lord's Spirit that's bringing them all together to fight in this World War III to judge them all, to destroy them all in the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. This is from Joel chapter 3, verse 9. So proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the nations, right? Outside of Israel, right? Outside the Israelites. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, right? So because of the actions of these Israelis, right, it's causing these nations to you know, prepare for war, right? And it's something that's been going on. But obviously, the more tense the situation gets, the more drive there is to go to war, obviously, right? And like I said, Israel is going to be that reason why everybody has to fight, right? Because like I said, they're going to play their violin and demand that everybody has their back. Because if you don't, you're anti-Semitic. You know, that's what it'll be. You know, whatever. But that's a joke. But they're gonna do that. They're gonna guilt trip everybody to back them. But obviously, man like Russia and China, they're like, nah, fuck that, man. You men have been doing the most. And we're not gonna back that, right? You're attacking our invested interests, and that can't happen, right? So, we're gonna go fight. Right, we're gonna go fight. But like I said, it's not in the favor of any of these nations to go to war, because the Most High is only doing it to destroy them all. All right. So again, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Till cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, okay, which is in the Middle East, okay, which is where these conflicts are taking place right now, okay, where the whole world is going to be drawn towards. All right, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come and get you down, for the press is full and fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Right, because none of these nations are righteous, so it's a losing war on all sides. Right, there's no righteous outcome. Like, these nations going to war, whatever reasons they're fighting for, none of them is righteous. Okay, this is not a righteous war that's going on. Right, so there is no winning sides. Okay, this is multitudes in the valley of decision. Okay, valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's judgment. For the day of the Lord is near. Okay, and it draws nearer by the day. Like, beginning of it, I was in the apostles. Like, from the time they were bringing this truth out, things have already got closer to what we've been saying. These prophecies have already gotten closer to being fulfilled, right? They're not going backwards. It's not getting further away. Everything we'll be speaking is coming to fruition. It's manifesting. Okay, and we're getting closer and closer, right? So again, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Okay. This is 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. It says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, right? And we use these prophecies to measure the time, to know what time we're in, right? When thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? Because the day of the Lord draws nearer. We're seeing it. We're seeing the things that he spoke about come to pass, right? Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which is increasing, right? People are hella frustrated out here, man. Right? Especially with the whole situation that's been built up with the whole immigrant situation, the ICE and, illegal immigrants, and, the poverty that these people are suffering in these different nations. The people's aggression is being riled up, man. They're tired, they're frustrated, and they want to vent. Okay? So there's a whole lot of uproars in the world, right? But for various things, right? And then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Right? For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end. And what we're witnessing is the end. The end of this era of wickedness upon the earth, right? The end of Esau's kingdom. Okay, we're witnessing the end of these things. Right? We're waiting for the Lord Yahushua to return and establish his kingdom right, to set the world into righteousness, right? But before that happens, this world's got to be destroyed. These nations are got to be destroyed, right? So what you're seeing is the downfall and the destruction of this world, of this kingdom. Okay? So the light is all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Even so, the times also the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. Okay? And so I'm going to close out with this from Obadiah from chapter 1, verse 1. Right? It's the vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord God Yahweh, concerning Edom, right, which these Israelis are a part of. Right? They're Amalekites, right? So we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle, right? And this is why that spirit is upon all these nations, man. They're all preparing for war, right? And they're all being drawn into war. Everyone's talking about, oh, we need to increase spending, on our military, right? Because everybody knows or feels that there's a war brewing, right? And like I said, these Netanyahu and them mans, they're lighting the fire, right? They don't care about the ramifications of all of this, but they're just gonna go at it, right? They're gonna force nations into war, and that's exactly what they're doing. Okay. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen; thou art greatly despised. Like I said, resentment and is taking place against you small hats and against you Americans and everybody that supports that whole situation, right? Yeah, politically, you might not gonna protect Israel or back Israel, even though you might not necessarily agree with the methods that they've been doing, right? But the people in these countries, man, most of these people they're not fucking with that, man. They don't agree with what you're doing. These men are getting heckled at airports and all kinds of shit. They're getting heckled, man. People around the world really disagree with what's going on. Because you ain't the victim. You're acting like you're the victim, but you're not the victim. Okay, what you've done in retaliation to October, whenever it was, right? It's far beyond. Look at where we are now. Now we're launching missiles at Iran. It's like, how did we get from there to here? And you haven't stopped since that day. You have not stopped. Okay, and the casualties and the death you've brought into the world is mad. And yeah, you might have been able to get away with it initially, in terms of like because of what happened and what went down. But what you're doing now, man, ain't nobody looking at you like, oh yeah, yeah, keep doing it. You're in the right. No one believes that. No one believes you're in the right. You've lost your mind, and people want you to stop. But your pride, your hard headedness, right? You ain't gonna stop. You're bold. You're bold with this war thing, man. You're bold about crushing, these other nations. You're bold, man. You're not stopping to think about anything or care about anything. Or you don't care about people's perception of nothing. So it's like, all right, cool. Do your thing. Do my thing. Do your thing, my G. Right? Because all you're doing is leading us to the day of the Lord, man, which we want. Right? So go ahead, do your thing. Right? That's totally good news for us. Because it's going to end in your destruction. And all these other nations' destruction, man, because this is the day of the Lord. It's against all the heathen. They're the ones going to go fight in this war. I ain't going to fight in no fucking war. As much as they're going to, try and get you to fight in the war, you might go prison or whatever the case may be, but I ain't going to no war to go fight for these devils. So you're going to go over there and you're going to die. You're going to be destroyed. For what? For nothing. Right? Because there's not even going to be, these nations ain't going to exist after this war, man. Okay, you ain't going to be no kingdoms, no one with power. Okay, it's going to belong to Yahweh Shai and the Israelites. The true Israelites, the elect. All right? All these nations are going to fall. So your fighting is all going to be in vain, So again, see, behold, I made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Okay, you're bold, man. Okay, you bold. You think you gonna get away with this, man? You think you're gonna crush your enemies and do this and do that, create your new world order and all this that you just you don't think you could be stopped. The pride of thy heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. All right? So homie, you're gonna get brought down. You're gonna get brought down, man. All right? But I'm gonna end it there. Lord, this has been edifying, and we watch the situation, of course. As it develops. But yeah, Kal Halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Hey, may the Lord return swiftly, man. And put an end to this place, man. Kal Halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai B'Shem Quadash. Double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and shalom out there to the hopeful elect, preaching the truth in all sincerity. Until next time, I say shalom.